Alrighty, welcome back to the big board. Let's, maybe you guys can help me noodle through the actions for both sides here. We're kind of getting into the sticky wicket part of turn one. So let me recap and tell you what's going on. We are sitting at the first strike phase. We've done all of the cruise missiles for both sides, and we've done the air superiority and all that sort of fun stuff, and all the pre-game strikes and cruise missiles and ballistic missiles and all the yummy bits, naval missiles. And we had some relative success with that as the Chinese sunk one of the Taiwanese SAG groups, put some steps on some Taiwanese units. I'm looking at including collateral damage from airfields, four steps of damage, no damage to the US forces yet. And this is where, so that's kind of that would be a nice little recap in exchange for losing 2 full air units and just one other step, 2 other steps, and a bunch of aborts for both sides. So this is, the very crowded general records table, and one of my pet peeves about the system is why isn't this bigger and on a separate sheet? But then it's another piece of paper that's got to go somewhere on a table. And as we can see, we're already taking up a 4x4, and I could really use a little extra room. Just in general, just to be able to lean on the table and do stuff. Special Forces activities for the PRC were lackluster at best. Put some targeting on here and there, but didn't really achieve terribly much. Although it has helped over with the airfield attacks over there. So anyway, let's see. The big issue I have might just be that I may have made a poor decision for the Chinese if you look at my other video, I told you there are a whole bunch of different options that you can elect to take for invasions. In fact, not invasions, but preemptive coup de main strikes. We're upside down on this guy, but don't worry about it. But we can take the Paracels and Pengu, and here even Senkakus, and the Spratly Islands over here. And you get to deploy a marine unit and an amphib, and there's one SAG that can be put pretty much anywhere. Initially, I just focused on the Paracels and the Spratlys, just thinking that would be enough, and I didn't want to overextend, number one. Number two, give up too many VPs. And then the issue here with these Japanese islands is that, they may not be Japanese necessarily, but they're the Ryukyu Islands, so I believe they are. They're closer to Japan, right? Here's Japan, right here. So by electing to do this, by electing to put this unit in here as a preemptive strike and capturing it, we have we avoid clearing, so that's good. That's one thing I think that happens. That's something I need to check in the rules, whether that coup de main allows me to skip the clearing exercise, and I'm not even sure we need to worry about that with the islands anyway. I don't recall having to do that with the Iran module. So nevertheless, the big issue by doing this is that it automatically pumps the Japanese up 2 levels to commitment level 4, and the US up to commitment level 4, because I had bought in at level 2 with both of these. And my rationale for doing this here was that it was going to give me a position to, put me in a position to potentially, control this sea area. I could stage or set one of my carrier groups. I've got 3 carrier groups to leverage off of, and this would allow me to be sort of forward defense and potentially attacking or attriting units that tried to move from here, and air support that came from here to Taiwan, and then also as the U.S. forces enter the game, maybe we could take them on in the central approaches, which is here, or something like that, right? That was my game plan, kind of flanking Taiwan and all that sort of good stuff. Well, the Philippines joined the game on the U.S. side anyway, and the die rolls that I made and the notes I made on Malaysia and Indonesia down there, even with the modifications for taking on this, didn't knock them over into joining the Chinese, or in fact joining the Allies, and also Vietnam's in, right? It'd be kind of cool to set up the Vietnam maps and play a dual or two module game. I think that might be a little bit much for my little brain, and I'll begin to explain some of that now. So first of all, I think this might have been a mistake, going ugly early. I was looking and trying to shape the battlefield here so that we can get after it as the Chinese, because I believe they need to build a huge VP lead. That's how you win, by getting to the point where you have like 100-point differential. And then once you have that, then you start rolling for automatic victory, and that puts a lot of pressure on the opposing side to, pick up their game, lift their game. So that was my thinking. These were kind of like, in exchange for VPs, I could pick up these 3 locations, puts me a little bit more forward, allows me a little breathing room, and then I can focus on, just on Taiwan, and not having any enemy units based here that could put helos here and do nasty things to the Chinese, right? And there's probably a handful of other reasons for doing that as well, but primarily that's what I was focused on. So that would then allow me to focus 100% on Taiwan, and let's get after it and go for it, right? Okay, so I'm sitting here looking at this strategic map, and let's actually go around and look at it from the other side. Stand by. Okay, all right, so we're back looking at it from the up the right way perspective. I was going to talk a little bit more about the air war, but we can maybe move over there in a minute. This may be a long video, by the way, so feel free to tune out whenever you feel like it. So when we look at this map, we've got these yellow lines that allow us, let us know that where we can execute helo actions and do immobile transport or fly in, fly out type of thing. And I'm looking at the map going, okay, as the Chinese, what should I be striking at? Number one, to degrade the situation so that I can invade Taiwan. And then number two, how? Right? Usually with these games, my approach is, I think the official term is, battlefield shaping or something like that. I like to take my time, get my forces in position, marshal them all up, let me, be ready to go full throttle. And if I'm the aggressor, then I want to, make sure I've got enough force so that I can land or attack across the border and be effective, and set myself up to hold what I take and all that sort of good stuff. So here, as I mentioned, I think it's a quick rush by the Chinese. It seems to be what I'm being led to based on how I'm looking at the map and what I'm seeing and how sparse the board is. I mean, look at the board, right? It's real tricky, right? There's we could have a whole discussion just about the terrain that needs to be managed here, let alone the supply rules, which are very different from prior games, and you're going to need to be pushing supply to the islands on a regular basis to keep units from being not just out of supply, but being not isolated. So big deal. And that's going to require some thinking and some management of your transportation and sea transport and all sort of fun stuff like that. All right. So anyway, so I began treating the defensive tracks, which are the Taiwanese island defenses. Knocked out one in the first turn. It was at max strength. Knocked that out completely. It's down to a 0, and I don't believe they can be rebuilt. So that's good, and that will probably begin to drive where we would potentially land. But there are still a lot of American aircraft and Japanese aircraft that can reach the combat space that could really put any attempted landing in a dangerous situation. And it makes me think that I probably should have paid the extra points to pick up Penghu as well. Probably another silly thing that I did, but in this case didn't do. So I'm struggling with this first strike thing, in that what am I going to focus on? Where are my charts? Where do they go? Here. I'll just recap with you what we can do here. So non-allied attempts detection of wild weasel strikes. There are none because there are no wild weasels available. Turn 1. We need to allocate airstrikes, helicopter strikes, and escorts, and that's the big issue that I'm facing now. I've got this monster, well, not monster, and it's not particularly awesome, but I've got this Air Force up there, and I haven't detected a lot of the units, so on the Taiwan Island. So I'm thinking I'm just going to try and focus on degrading the island defenses, these defensive zones here. Let me zoom out. Here and here and here on the northern side of the island, or whatever side that is, eastern side of the island. I got to get the CVs literally into the water. I believe they start in the holding box. So. Which means, I guess, along the coastline here. So I need to get to the point where I can move them in. So you can't just move and win in the first turn, I don't believe. So it's going to take a little while. But I'm a little nervous about how we go about this, because choices really matter in this game, and it can make it, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that, and we need to start over. So there's that. Now, from the U.S. side, from the Allied side, I'm thinking I'm going to task the Filipinos and the Vietnamese to recapture Paracels. I'm going to ignore the Spratlys for the time being. I don't think there's a lot of net benefit to me recapturing that, other than VP accumulation, and then try and be a thorn in the side with the Filipinos, who are stronger, to project some power up into the Taiwanese Strait. I've got one SAG group here that I can use, and we can potentially move some reinforcements. I think I can get one more unit in there, a couple more units in there for sure, and then obviously the Hilo, so we can reinforce the defense of that. That would be cool. And then maybe bring some Filipinos into Taiwan. I got to check and make sure I'm allowed to do that. All right, so we do that, and then it's a matter of, I think with the Japanese fully committed, I can, whatever ground capability they have, which is very limited, I can bring them, the 82nd Airborne and the 31st MEU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit. I've got to get them in. I've got to be able to move them safely via air transport or whatever the case may be, or sea transport, and that is where this this action wasn't so stupid, because as the Americans, I will need to potentially go around to get there without exposing myself to any missions from cruise missiles or airstrikes and things like that. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm having a little bit of analysis paralysis here, and I'm open to suggestions if you've played or play tested, or you're a military planner who sits in a comfy chair and pontificates all day. Tell me what you think we should do here so that we can get after it. And I'm going to continue noodling for a little bit and look at first strikes by air, which I think, as I look at it now, I'm gonna focus in on the static defenses of the Taiwanese. Knock the shit out of those. Knock the shit out of all the aircraft, air bases, and finish them off to the best of my ability, and pay the price, come as it may, with the SAM defensive tracks. Now, I did manage to pop the detection level down by 2 and the SAMs down by 1 for the Taiwanese, and the Chinese lost 1 on their detection tracks as well from cruise missile strikes. And I need to add a VP for a PRC hit on strike to no effect on an airbase in China. All right. That's a long-winded way of saying I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but let's roll dice. Talk to you soon.